Howdy guys, so I have just completed this mega bamboo farm, and I see that there's one small issue here. This is what was jamming me up in the first place. I can't do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, so it should be here. Yep, alright, so yeah, this is on a survival world. Using the zombie pigman farm, was able to come up with enough gold to come up with all the collection system. This entire thing is 80 blocks long, 26 wide, 24 wide, something like that. The collection system is down here, and we have hopper mine carts all along there, and then powered rails. And I'm going to show you how to build all this in a creative world, because I really learned a lot on this project. I'm not that great with redstone or flying machines or anything like that, but it all works. Also, yeah, I need to build a perimeter fence because we're getting stuff thrown out everywhere. Hopper collection mine carts get sent off here. They all rip out, and it's so long that you actually have to walk down here about 10 blocks to get it to send. There is, of course, the flying machines, which get sent off here. Okay. All that ticking going on is the droppers. I'm gonna actually walk back a little bit so it's not quite so loud. I'm gonna have to fool with these flying machines. Like I said, it's so long that they get jammed up at the end. Occasionally I have to reset them, so apparently I did something wrong resetting them. But they do in fact fly, and they work just fine. Yeah, so if I had to do it again, no more than 60 blocks long. Or maybe make the controls in the center, so it could be longer. This is the collection system. Yeah. And really, I haven't harvested since this, when this stuff has been mature yet. Which, if I did, it would be presumably a whole lot more. I figured something like it. The potential for it is something like 20,000 bamboo per harvest. Yeah, I see what's going on. It's just jammed up over there. Not a big deal. We'll just go ahead and do, let's see, one of these. There you go. There you go. Now she's returned to dock. I don't know why it jammed up. Probably because I was way down that end. And send it off. And that's what breaks all the bamboo. And then all these hopper mine carts collect it from underneath. Now, it's really important that the mine carts have a dock, and we're going to get to that. Let's go right over to creative and show you how to make this thing. Save and quit. Yep. And sorry, I don't have editing capacity, so each video is kind of like roll with the punches. You have to put up with the changing of the worlds and all that sort of thing. I just don't have a real good program for recording yet because our computer's down, but that's okay. We've got the tablet, and this is doing a fine job. All right, so without further ado, the heart of the system, like the most important thing in the system, is this. This is a dropper system. Now this dropper right here that I'm highlighting is pointed down, and then of course it goes into a water stream. These can be set 2 apart. They might even be able to be set 1 apart, but because this is bedrock, they do tend to interfere with each other a bit. Like if you, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. This works on Java too, but don't have this redstone dot. Move that observer here. Move that observer and piston here. So it's a much smaller system on Java, and it's much more tileable, in that they can be set next to each other. Now, the most important thing on Bedrock is how do you load that dropper? So we've got a hopper chain here, just 3 hoppers in a row. I guess you could put them on this side. I'm not sure if that redstone would interfere with it. So I know that this works. Let's go ahead and throw a stack of something in there. And this chest down here isn't hooked up. It's just indicating, hey, that's where your storage system might be. So what's happening here is this comparator is given a redstone line because there's items inside that dropper, which raises this piston, which creates an observer clock. And this little BSAT redstone dust absolutely has to be there in order for that redstone signal to power the dropper, because we're on Bedrock. It doesn't do cross powering like it does on Java. On Java, you wouldn't need that redstone dust there. It would literally just power down through. Also, there'd be like a wall here, so you wouldn't get items just perched on that ledge. All right, so how do we put that in conjunction with a rail cart system? So just basically a rail cart system like this, which we'll explain more in a second, and then as the hopper mine carts come in, they dock, and then they put their items down into that dropper. The rest is all automatic. Now, like I said, this is all tileable, so you could put another system here and another system here and so on and so forth. So, hopper mine carts. So we got the redstone block there, and then this is your docking station. So to build one of these things right here, you're going to need a regular rail and a power rail, which I was supposed to have all this ready, but I don't. All right, so let's just do this. Also, I've seen people do this. But, all right, so this is an unpowered rail right here. Put your powered rail there, put your unpowered rail on top. All right, and then break that. Boom, now you get your docking station. The way this works is the minecart sits on there and will put its items into that hopper beneath it. Because it's just the cactus, or yeah, not cactus, geez. The bamboo farm is so large, you really need to station this thing here. It just can't be passing over top of a hopper. If not, it takes forever to unload the farm. So, run a redstone line. Now, very important that this block here, which is the bottom of that angle that the hopper minecart is sitting on, is powered. And if you run into issues, you might have to put some repeaters in there. I don't know why. That's just a game oddity, that sometimes they just don't power through, and I don't know why. All right, so you see that the powered rails here bump the minecart into this solid block, extend it on its return. As soon as you turn the system off, the hopper minecart will come back around and dock. Boom. I've also seen this done with pistons. I really haven't figured out how it all works, like comparators and pistons and all this sort of thing, but this certainly works. So now it's dumping those items off. That hopper would, of course, be connected to, you know, your dropper line. That way you can take all the items and put them down into the middle. Now, this is what not to do. This is the original design of the farm, and that I was going to have 2 hopper minecarts running on top of a dropper. You know, each rung would have a dropper system. It didn't work because they just won't hit boxes, and they just keep on. They won't dock. They just keep moving each other around, despite the fact that rail down there is unpowered. So you see that? Don't do this. It's a no. All right. One little sideline is that when I was building this system, I needed to power every single block. So I needed to power this and this and this. You can see that they don't connect over. So yes, I was going to do repeaters and redstone dust and repeaters and redstone dust the whole way down, and then just connect that to a redstone line. Now I'm going to demonstrate this with pistons. All right, so and a little bit left over from my last video. Okay, so yeah, kick this on. Well, it raises 16 pistons and then stops. So you're like, okay, well, I'll be a smart guy and I'll put a repeater in here, which works great, except for it doesn't power the piston next to it. So, what do you do? How do you remedy this? Well, you're like, oh, I'm a smart guy. I'll put a repeater here, put me a little dust here. There, all the pistons drop. And then you shut the system off. Boom. And they're still powered because this is actually creating a loop. So I kind of accidentally discovered this, and it works. So we're going to show you how it works. Just put a comparator here, right? Put a repeater here, and then go ahead and put your dust around. And that comparator breaks that loop, right? So now it works. Every piston's going up. Right, anyway, like I said, that's not that important to this system. And here it is in another form. But it's just one of those things. It's nice to know for Minecraft in general. All right, so let's look at the tileable finished farm, right? And you could bring those out as wide as you want, but my flying machines are about 12 wide, so I wanted it, you know, harvestable. Also, when the flying machines come down, they then move over one and then come back, so you can actually go, you know, 2 wider than they'll reach, because they'll reach that on the return. All right, so yeah, the flying machine would of course come across, break the bamboo, right? And then the hopper minecart would pick those up, right? And then at some point, let it go a few times. Yeah, and then turn it off, let it dock, and you'll see that the hopper is now not the hopper, the dropper is now spitting the items out the bottom automatically. And of course there would be a water stream there, and take it to a center location, and then up into, you know, a big storage facility. Because, you know, if you build this farm big, it's going to be able to produce a lot of bamboo in one harvest. So how do flying machines work? First off, don't use honey blocks. Although you can use honey blocks if you don't have anything else, items tend to get stuck to honey blocks, right? Even when it's flying. And that's no good. That's not what you want, because the thing will be absolutely covered in bamboo. So there, it's docked back. All right, next up we have the slime block flying machine, which is the same exact design as that. In fact, if you want to make a screenshot, I'll get back here and kind of, there you go. Perfect, right? So it's in dock right now. And I'll flip over this way, you can see the opposite side. It's a pretty simple flying machine. This piston here, the one in front of that button, right here, is not a sticky piston. A block of obsidian is critical, as are the glazed terracotta blocks. They aren't just any old block. We send it off. This piston here pushes it over, which updates those observers, which creates, you know, essentially an observer clock, because each time they're moved, they're giving a signal. And then it's back. Now this is your return. So it comes down here. Now look, this piece of obsidian here, and then there's a blank spot, and then there's the piece of obsidian for the return. And then you've got a non-sticky piston with an observer, and then you've got a sticky piston pointed down into this observer. So the idea is that, I don't know how, let's see here, let's just use a torch. When the machine comes in, you see that it gives this piston here a pulse, which pushes the whole machine over, and then the machine is able to return back to dock. All right, so that's pretty simple. You want to just align that above your bamboo farm so that it flies over top and knocks them off on the second block up. Yep. And if you do use two flying machines, you might want to take and put just a regular block on the end of each one, like that. So this way they can't jam together if one should happen to, you know, stall out for some reason, like you got too far away. The other thing is, make sure, like, ooh, that was not supposed to go there. Before you, like, leave the area, all your mine carts are in dock. So, you know, if you're running your farm and your mine carts off and running, just turn everything off. Let them all come back to dock before you leave, because otherwise the game does weird things with mine carts, and it can put them on the wrong rails, or it can make them disappear entirely. And the same thing with your flying machine. Make sure that your flying machine returns to dock before you leave the area. And I'd say stay within like 50 blocks of it, otherwise it can just stall out. Yep. All right, so that is the bamboo farm in its entirety. Also, yeah, this would be obviously wider. You know, this is just a mock-up. Yeah, okay, so the main reason on why am I doing a bamboo farm is because kelp is broken currently. Now that might be patched here soon, but right now the growth rates are terrible. And my super smelter has nothing to burn. So it takes 4 pieces of bamboo to smelt 1 item, which is pretty terrible, which is why you need such a large farm. Also, this farm at least mine, you know, 80 by 24, took a lot. Well, not just powered rails. It was like a shulker box of plus a couple stacks of powered rails, but it was like 2.5 stacks of iron blocks. So I don't have an iron farm yet. That really put a hurtin'. Actually, I had to tear down one of my beacons and do a mining run. But yeah, it's pretty resource spendy. But man, you get a lot of stuff out of it. Like, you'll never want fuel again. If you really want to maximize your bamboo, like you don't have the resources to build a giant farm, you need to just scale this down some. Just take the bamboo, get yourself a spider farm going, or even cats, and combine it with string to make your scaffolding, which is a pretty cheap recipe. And then it will burn 6 items per scaffolding instead of, you know, 4 bamboo per item. So it's 24 times better fuel, which is lots better. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe and all that happy stuff, and have a good day.